Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Meeting will please come to order. We do have proofs of posting in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, so meeting known as the Texas Open Meetings Act. Any members of the public who wish to speak shall each have 5 minutes. There are none. We will go to item number 1, burn ban. No action. Item number 2 is to discuss the purchase of 2 new air packs, breathing apparatuses for the jail out of ARPA funds.
The approval from my board is right here. It's going to be in the amount of $10,640.68, and it's for 2. And it does meet the by board criteria.
All right. Do we have a motion to purchase the 2 new air packs through by board? Air packs, breathing apparatus for the jail through the buy board out of ARPA funds in the amount of $10,640.68.
Yes,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Item number 2 is budget transfers.
I don't have any.
You don't have any?
I don't have any.
Okay. Teresa had come in this morning and said that she needed a budget transfer because the special fund
Right.
was, do we have an idea of about how much, or are we gonna have to wait?
We will. We can do the transfer on the next court, or if they approve me to do the $4,300 today, we can do that today
It's gonna be $4,300
for the rest of the year.
for the rest of the year.
Is that right, Teresa?
Well,
That's
until October.
Till October.
So there was 4 payrolls left. When she called me, how basically we figured it was on what she made on this last check. I took that, multiplied it by 4 payrolls left, and then the taxes that went with it, and it came to a little over 43. And so, but
Okay.
That would be enough to cover those.
I thought it was like right at 42, at 42.70 something, so
Oh,
43.70.
Yeah.
We're doing it one time.
One time, yeah.
Yeah, based on those quick figures I had, that should cover it, but.
Maybe we should do 4,500.
Well, it was like 42
Oh,
something,
okay,
and
okay.
so the 43, I had to count, it was like
We'll
42
need to
something.
do that into her account,
Yes.
her
Yes.
department, I should say.
Yes,
Because
yes.
we can't do it into the special fund.
Right.
Okay.
So does that mean we're gonna change payroll then?
Yes.
Okay.
She does have a part-time line item.
She does. I looked.
Okay. Those special funds, if they don't come in right, we never know how they're gonna come in. If they don't come in right, like we think they will, then that's what puts us in
Yeah.
a crunch. Okay.
Need a motion to pre-approve that transfer?
Yes.
I'll make that motion. Second.
To approve the budget transfer
In the amount of $4,300
in the amount of $4,300
to
into,
from contingency into district clerk part-time line item.
or part-time. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Anything else on that? All right. If not, I think she's got the copies made. We'll bring these in. And this will be a new set.
Draft number 2.
New set.
Copy number 3.
Here goes number 1, number 2. Just show this.
We didn't pay his pay.
Can we show this, Lord? You just go double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where it could be divided.
I wanted, yes,
Come back by hand.
because I didn't know that we
Just
did.
double check.
But it's fine, I told her, I said, it's fine, if the vehicle need to be fixed, it's, I mean, that's no problem, whatever y'all need to do.
That's what I heard.
When there's money there, we'll get it.
Well, I got something you can fix.
I was gonna say, I'm in on that, look at
These are very small. We may have to,
On her print,
I think, they
Well,
are enough, they can read them. Y'all all have your glasses, don't you?
I'll be getting some ink in, should to be today, in mine,
Um,
in mine. That was a different.
Perfect, thank you. Mine will never work.
Did you add pages or is it brand new? Oh,
Brand new, draft two. Draft two. She's making some more what? She's making some more.
yes, I agree with that.
On the.
No, I need to look at the, who made it?
Lloyd.
Lloyd. Andy seconded it.
That's right, yeah, yes, because all I did was figure out what we needed going forward, I didn't do your cover, but we can't keep to that fund. Gotcha.
Yeah, the money's there. It's just like budget.
And did I go doing this stuff, part-time people from 12 and 15, so that's.
Well, closer to things across the way with internet hookup
Last Monday, they had, they terminated Friday, that was the day we had that crowd strike issue, which brought all their stuff down. So, I just had to make it irony.
of course.
But my Monday was okay.
So the laws are moved and everything.
Here's the extra. Now, if you want your sheet, you can take your sheet out of this.
They said, I said,
You told me, yeah.
I was stuck in this, but every day.
Then you can write all over. Like that. This, we're still just on the proposed. I know there won't be many changes still.
What's changed so far from this one to this one? Is all that, all that's done, has changed from this one to this one is what we talked about last week?
There've been just a few changes. We will talk about that. All right, let me say, not that many changes. If you look at page just a sec. Page 7.
Page what?
7. That's the end of the revenues.
Right.
And then the end of the expenditures is the last sheet. That's page 51. According to this, it shows that we have a little bit more revenues than we have expenditures. However, I'm sure there are expenditures that we don't have on this budget yet. For example, what we kind of talked about, what kind of raises we might give, that's not in here. So,
About 130,000 difference.
yeah. So it's, and in general, these have been updated to have the change in the medical expense. That's the biggest change.
Yeah.
And how much did that end up being per employee? How much did that go up? I know it's quite a bit.
12,000.
Yeah, it went up $140-something. It was a little over 1,000 per employee. 1,045.
850 to a little over that one.
Yeah. I don't have that number in front of me right now, but going up, I think it was like $140-something is what I figured, per employee. No, that's just what the county pays, so yeah, the employee would pay their own dependents, so. Yeah.
We got the two roofs in here, so we're going ahead and gonna do courthouse and DA. None of that,
We're hoping we'll get the DAs in this budget.
right.
We've got it out for bids. And then on 620, I just put an amount in there, not knowing what it might cost to do this other one. Just an estimate. May not be enough, let's look at it. That's 620, that's on page 34 on the old one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 620 on the new one is on page 39, because we added those incomes in at the beginning.
The 250,
In the 250, now, are we talking about the roof on this building?
yes ma'am.
And we'll probably do a flat roof on it. And they're about 100,000. you know, we got, yeah, we
Flat
got,
one on that, on ours, but didn't it cost, about 60, I think is what it ended up costing on ours, but it may be more than that now, especially on this one.
and then we still will need, we've been talking about cameras, but I doubt that we'll get those in and get everything done on that before the end of September. So we'll need a budget for cameras, and then we're gonna put some more lights up. May have to do a little, work on the parking area over here by where the dispatch people are. I don't know if we will or not. What other big things can y'all think about?
So one of the roofs is gonna be in this budget, we hope, over here.
We're hoping.
Okay.
Now, we could, this one over here is gonna be a large number, I should say.
Moving the air conditioners down is
Yeah.
gonna be
Do all that.
a big portion of that cost.
You had somebody look at it, and you thought still that our best option is to make it a slant roof. Be more expensive right now, but in the long run.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, we still need to, if we've got an update from anybody on that roof on the federal building.
I don't know, I'd have to
There's a
ask
leak.
Karen, she had people coming.
In front of the counter, about 3/4 of the way down, when you walk in the front door on the right, and there was a small leak in that, y'all's supply room.
Well, there was a drain clogged up that Moore Plumbing was able to get completely unstopped. I think the last time, I don't know if it was there or not, the last time it was attempted, they never completely unstopped it. This time, they were able to.
So it hasn't
that-
leaked since then, or had it rained since they done it?
To my knowledge, I don't know, because that's about the time we got out of there, but, I think that helped a lot, but when you start having leaks in various places, you know, it's a sign. I don't know how old that roof is, but I don't think it's got much life on it.
We have a little time, we still could add some to this, over the next couple of weeks. Maybe we should put in special contingency enough to cover that roof over there, just in case we don't get it done during this time. But if we do, then we know that was for special contingency, and we wouldn't use it for something else. Okay.
Can somebody come and look at the roof before they bid on it?
Nobody's one person is, maybe two.
So we can,
We don't know, because we put it out for bids, I don't know if they've gone over there and looked at it or not. Have you seen anybody looking?
I'm not.
What do they do?
I'm sorry?
About another week.
Yeah, so we just got it in the paper, so we're not gonna know
I
until.
got somebody that's interested in looking at it.
Okay, good. Tell them to come on.
Need to go look.
Y'all tell him, I mean, if it's permissible for him to go look, I mean, that's my question.
We need somebody to look at this one too.
But he builds roofs all over the world, so
Yeah,
he
he
builds in our county.
And he can either just go and hop on the roof, I don't care, or he can come to the front door and say,
somebody.
Then he got somebody to look at it, I don't think he'll get up there.
that's what I'm saying, like, just come to the front door, say what you're doing, and we'll help you look at some,
Yeah.
whoever y'all send.
When they say somebody look at this roof, it needs to be a skinny person too. That ladder that gets on this roof, I'm thinking it's probably a 1941. It's two oak 2x4s with some pine 1x4s nailed across it. And I'm talking about it's been a while.
It's an antique.
It is an antique, and it wouldn't hurt to replace it and put it in the museum. Okay? It's an antique, it's not,
It sure is.
it's no fun climbing and getting up there.
Somebody better ask the historical society before we tear it up.
That ladder?
Yeah.
All right. Yes, sir.
Your taking kind of a bird's eye view, but if you want to look at my budget, I don't think there's anything on there that's too crazy by any means.
Let me go
There's,
get my book
okay, yes, ma'am.
real quick.
I really kind of almost had a question for you, Judge, and Commissioner, how to handle something on there.
We've got 2 more weeks. It sure be nice to go on and put an ad in the paper for this roof right here. That way when anybody that's looked at that roof needs to come on and look at this one.
Well, in the federal building too, it's, you know, although that drain's unstopped, that water was coming in from somewhere.
Right.
So
Well,
although,
it stands up there, because if you walk down our hallway after it rains, that water just sits on top of that roof.
there's still.
Thinking of that federal building, what's y'all's opinion on that sprinkler system? It's gonna have to be disconnected where dispatch is. And of course, we don't know how that thing is plumbed. As far as is there a valve to cut off that separates the left side of the building from the right side of the building or not? But we've been advised not to have sprinkler systems over, I talk about one over their equipment.
Yeah.
So you got those consoles to think about. There's a valve out front, we can drain everything, but is that gonna be a negative to probation and your investigators and stuff like that, not having it on that side if we cut it completely off? I mean, nowadays, I think it's the only building in the county, is there another building in the county that has a sprinkler system?
I would say mine,
Do your thing.
my entire office is,
You do?
no. I mean, we're used to.
I don't know of another building with a sprinkler system.
Prison.
Y'all
Oh, man,
may be
county on
required
the-
to have one though,
In the,
in the jail area, I don't know. No?
Question is can we
I think
just cut
it
the
has to do
valve off
with
on that,
construction.
suck the water out of the pipes, they go?
Do
We
construction.
don't have any other buildings, I'm thinking that was just a federal.
It was, it was.
I mean, it was
We're not
probably
required
them.
to have it.
Yeah, cut it loose.
The only thing I'd like
Cut
to,
it off.
I would like to add to that, that the inspector that came last time, we discussed that, and he had advised that you need to check with your insurance company before doing something like that. They may not even know we have it, but if they know we have it, that's built into our policy, and we disconnect it, something happens,
Right.
they could, you know,
I bet they don't even know we got it.
probably not, but it's just
No.
space to cover.
We've got the people coming to look.
The
soon.
5th,
The
August the 5th.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that was just a holdover on that federal thing. Matter of fact, too much information.
So it's set to be awarded for the DA roof on the 21st of August. It's supposed to run the 31st and the 7th, that's 2 weeks. So, and then that was the next commissioner's court. And I also need a list of people that, you know, if y'all have got people in mind that I need to send bid packets to.
I don't know about it.
I got the one that I gave you.
Gary Young looked good, ain't he?
Yes, I do know that much. I don't know if he's,
Does he got a bid back?
I don't know if he-
Gary Young?
I don't have,
Y'all need one.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah.
Jerry don't.
The specs are in the newspaper, aren't they?
No,
No? Okay.
no, I didn't put all of that because.
Yes, okay.
But it'll be in the bid packet because we're gonna need several forms filled out.
Mhm. No one has requested it yet.
Nobody
It's
has.
just now coming out.
It's
in the
just now
newspaper.
coming out this
Mhm.
week.
When Karen called me about that last week, I think the main thing is that we need a general contractor to bid that. I don't think we need somebody to say, I can do the roof, and I can do somebody else do the AC, and somebody else on the electrical.
Mhm.
Because that makes us the general contractor.
Mhm.
That's about kind of what's going on over here. You know, we need somebody turnkey
Yeah.
bid.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I put in the newspaper. A turnkey bid is requested by the Commissioner's Court.
Okay.
my budget, I feel like it's pretty simple, maybe y'all tell me otherwise, that, Cell phone allowance, y'all approved that a couple
If you
years
look
ago.
at page 10 on your old sheets,
Which one?
page 10 on your old sheets.
15 on the new.
Cell phone allowance, y'all approved that a couple of years ago. I never actually went through the process of getting cell phones. I need to do that now. We talk about the importance of having a work phone in certain positions. I want one for me, my assistant, and my investigator that deal mostly with communication with law enforcement and things of that nature. I don't know, Dane's not in here. I called. That's about the price, $3,000 for the year for 3 phones and the contract. I know we have work phones wandering about. I don't know whether I can get on that contract, and I haven't talked to Jeremy about this, but I think Dane may have a work phone as well. So again, I can talk to him about cost, but the best way to do it to have my own plan, or whether they can just add 3 phones onto that and give me 3 phones. It really.
Yours are the kind that take priority calls, aren't they?
Yeah,
In the service.
Service.
What's it called?
And that's who I called. I called. Is it AT&T FirstNet? That's who I
Because
called.
Dane's phone has that too.
Mhm.
So
So,
if we can.
Leonard's phone has it.
and I'm not saying. I mean, again, whether it's priority calls or whatnot, I'm not in the same position necessarily as deputies and that sort of deal. But again, I just thought it being under one umbrella made sense to me from a county-wide perspective. That way, when we started adding phones and taking away phones, it would just be kind of under the same.
And all we have to do is add
the phones to our plan.
the phones, and then we could increase that line item. We could work that out.
And
If
Steve,
sure.
Dane, and Leonard's, are there 3 phones on the
Yes.
same?
Okay.
I think,
Steve too, I think, right? Steve on that?
No, I
I don't
don't
think
think
Steve's
so.
are. Mm-mm.
and what about constables? Richard?
And that's if the sheriff's comfortable with that,
Well,
talk to
they're,
him.
well, they're the
But-
ones that pay it. They-
Yeah, but like I said, I'm fine if we want to get my own contractor in the DA's office, that's fine with me. If we want to add 3 phones
Looks
there,
like it'd be
it's fine.
easier,
It'd
but
be easier.
anyway, y'all can let us know, and then we'll know where to move.
Yeah, it'd be easier just to have all
Yeah.
county phones on one plan.
I would like that the best. And then agreements and leases, Judge, you talked about kind of looking in that.
Yes,
And
I
normally
did.
you kind of handle that for kind of all of what I have going on in the office.
And what I have in your office is, let's talk about that. The TDCAA fees
Yes, ma'am.
are in dues and subscriptions, and that's about $1,000 a year. TransUnion, what is that again?
It's the way to track people. It's what my investigator uses to look up. It's a subscription-based deal where you can look up phone numbers and addresses and names and
And
things
that
like
would go with
that.
dues and subscriptions in, okay, and we got that. So that's 2,000. Okay, and then that's on line 350. On line 430, this is, and not just to y'all, this is everybody else too. You know, we're gonna have to have net data, which we have, you have 2 different things. You have regular, and then you have, hot check.
Checks.
And then you're gonna have to have the judicial, what we call.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be a lot more this time. And it's net data,
LGS.
you have a Lexus,
Yes, ma'am.
it totals up to 40,000, a little over 40,000.
So,
On
So-
line 430.
okay, so here, didn't know it was gonna be that big of a jump, but again, nothing necessarily I can do about that. But I jumped it from 22 to 35, and the reason I did that was before we were gonna get LGS, what is going on, this is kind of a good time maybe to talk about it in general, and I'm glad that the sheriff's office and all the local police offices have gone to where they send all the cases to me remotely. Basically, we're going to a remote system, right? The paper is going by the wayside, things like that. So now we're getting links in from, again, not just the sheriff's office, all the agencies in the county. And then what we're having to do is we're downloading those, and then we're having to put them on a thumb drive, right, to give to defense, and also the thumb drive for us or a disk. Well, as you can imagine, getting in 30 cases a month, 40, 50, depending on misdemeanors, that starts adding up a lot. So I started trying to find a solution to get things over where once it came over electronically, I could just upload it into a system and not burn a disk, the cloud. Well, LGS provides a cloud, if you will, so I don't need that bump. I was going to go with a company called Guardify to help me with that problem, but then LGS came along, and I think they're going to allow me to upload those links onto a cloud-based system to share it. So I was going to go back down to $22,000, but then it sounds like I'm kind of stuck with it going back up depending on net data,
Yes.
LGS, and things like that.
Yes, because you'll have net data this time and the judicial. And net data is about 17,000. Now will judicial, will that do your hot check stuff?
I don't, Judge, I didn't realize we were paying an extra fee for hot checks. And I will tell you this, and I apologize, I probably don't need, as you can imagine, hot checks aren't a super hot commodity for us anymore. I would say, I don't know if we need that section to begin with, but we can take a look at maybe what it costs.
Okay, well, if it's not in the judicial, then we don't have an extra thing for
I
it,
think
so we
that's-
might look at that.
I think it's fine to go that route
But for
right
this
now.
time, we're gonna need about 40,000 in there. Now, next time, you won't have the net data, so that will go back down to close to 25.
Gotcha, okay, so it's a one-time kind of switch
This one
over
time, it's gonna
cost.
be that much more.
Well,
Okay.
good, Judge, it sounds like you have agreements and Lisa's kind of plan, sounds like a great deal.
So that'll be a change. Workers' comp, I increased a little bit, which doesn't really affect you, but that's just it.
Yes, ma'am.
Purchase services, now we've had purchase services that were a good bit more in the past, but now that we have Dane, we shouldn't have much purchase services. So I'm thinking that could go down to about 1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, let's see what I got over here. Yeah, and then, let's talk about the travel part.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a vehicle for the investigator, is that right? Okay. And we have a separate line up here for fuel. Is that for the investigator?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that 4,000, you think that's sufficient for the fuel?
We haven't run into a problem yet. I will say,
And on that 5,900, it doesn't look like we've used any money out of that. What is that? Do we need that?
5,900.
Is that a different thing on travel? We put our conference up there in the 2,500. Is that?
It always comes in September,
Oh,
so
okay.
4 of us would be going down. This year it's in Galveston, I believe, right, for the TDCAA conference. I have to look back, maybe get with Karen and look at some old, and I can do that next Commissioner's Court if you want me really to break down what the cost is gonna be.
What we usually do, if it's conference, we put it all, travel and everything in the conference line,
Yes.
don't we?
Yes. Only if it's like you're just going for a day to, say to Dallas and back, we'll pay some travel for that. But if it's going to a conference for the travel and everything, it'll be out of one line item, out of the conference.
I guess out of fairness, then some of that money should go to conference.
Anyway, look at that and we'll adjust as needed.
I think that probably all adds up the same. Again, if we ever have just a public service announcement, if we ever have a new truck come up, a newer truck come up that you would like to donate to the DA's office investigator, very happy with having a county vehicle. So again, that is not me saying that I'm very happy to have that to offer to the investigator and have fuel and all of that. But just if something ever came up and you had something sitting around, let me know.
Maybe the sheriff's office will have to come up for you.
Yeah, I'll go see one.
Equipment and furniture, do you have anything in particular that you need?
No, ma'am, in fact, we just spent a whole lot of money on new computers. I bought some when I first came in, so they're getting about 8 years old. So all that came out of my budget this year. So no, ma'am, I really
Okay.
don't see much coming out of there.
Okay, if you'll just work on the conference and the travel.
Yes, ma'am.
Get that in, what needs to be in the other line and all, then we'll adjust that.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
And on everybody's that has net data this time, our expenses are gonna, our agreements and leases are gonna be a lot more, but that will drop off after this year. Okay.
Speaking of that, something else that I think that, I don't think we've got to the bottom of it yet. Right now, the server that we have is in Hopkins County, in Sulphur Springs. That is provided to us by net data. So when LGS comes in and that net data goes away, like eForce and LGS just said they did that at one time, but they don't do it no more. eForce can't because they're from out of state. And I guess this is to stay in compliance with the Texas DPS and FBI or something.
I believe there's something like that where it has to be backed
I just
up.
know that that server sits in Hopkins County, and net data is basically the one that's in control of that. So we're gonna have to go to something else. And I know Dane had checked on, there's Amazon has a governmental side where you can purchase cloud storage. So, and supposedly the DPS wants to get away from the servers. They want it to be cloud storage, so it's probably coming down the pipe that you're gonna have to have it anyway.
Do you know anything about that, Jerry?
When it comes to that IT stuff, I don't know.
I just think it's something that could potentially be a cost that is included in net data right now. And we'll have to get that data management somewhere else. But what comes with that
We're
is,
paying for this year, so
right,
we'll look for, have to look at the next year.
And I believe that was part of our, when we went to the cloud base with net data, that was the whole part of it, was
Yeah, it's
that,
all-
so we
it's on the
didn't have,
bottom
because we were
line.
gonna have to buy a server for over $50,000, because our server was full, and so that's why we went to the cloud with them, because then the backup is handled offsite. We don't have to do it, we don't have to worry about going to a bank and getting a lockbox to keep a backup storage in that, because you're supposed to keep it secure. And so with them handling that cloud-based backup for us.
Similar to the server we have for our body cameras now. Because when we had to go to the new upgrade system, we had to get a server
that server costs $10,000.
yes.
Yeah.
But I imagine the one for eForce is going to be a whole lot more than that. Because you got everybody connected to that thing.
And I know that was probably, what, now, 8 years ago that we went to cloud-based, or 6, 7, somewhere in there. And
Well,
I know at that time it
we
was
will
like,
have to keep some cloud-based because of the financial,
oh, that's right.
the treasurers. But that'll be next year's issue. Happy days, okay. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna, I need to increase a little bit more on on that one line item. Do you want to go through do y'all want to just look through them? I can tell you the main changes were in the leases and agreements, is adding to those. Because we had the net data in there, and then we added judicial.
So you're at, what, 5,000, I guess?
Well, it depended on how many users you had in each one.
But I would, from the number you have here, we're just showing 35, and you're just talking about.
Yeah, you added 4 or 5 more.
I was just trying to keep up with our number up here, we got 130 to play with.
Oh,
That makes sense.
yes, I know what you're saying now. I thought you just meant
No,
the
no,
judicial
no, no.
thing here. Okay, his is gonna go from the 35, what page was that?
Page 47.
Page 15 on the new one,
Page 15 on the new one?
it's 35,210.
35, see, I haven't changed that, and it needs to go to 40, so that's another 5.
Yeah.
Well, on page 47, where the grievance and leases are, it says 115,000, went from 50 to 115, and you already included.
That is the 65,000 for,
That's the one-time fee for the data.
yes, one-time fee for the judicial. 65,000, one-time fee
Okay.
for that. And then, starting in January, when that goes online, we'll be paying by the person. And that's
Right,
what
I
the
mean,
judicial
okay.
in each of these increases is.
Okay.
LGS.
Yes.
Now, on the capital outlay, I think we have enough to do, we need to probably look at our roof situation and see if we need to increase that some. On Department 620.
Do we need to go ahead and try to get an ad in the paper,
Or,
for this roof here? I don't think we have enough time to actually get that information and budget for it. I think we ought to budget for it, it just needs to be a big round number that will come in less than that.
I know they talked about the one across the street that's 72,000, so this one's gonna be more. I say, do you think 150?
I'm thinking size wise,
Sir?
I'm just thinking size wise. This is about double. I guess once you get up there, I'm just thinking in my head, it's about double what Brian's is. His is not as wide, but it's.
Plus height, that's gonna increase
Oh, yeah.
the price.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Maybe we'll put 200.
I don't think so.
Budgeting that
I
out.
don't think so, to fix that roof.
We're gonna have a special contingency in case we have to do another roof that we're not knowing about now.
I just think we need to get this one fixed sooner or later, because it's affecting the 4th floor.
Sure.
Sooner or later, it's going to drizzle on down and be on the 3rd
All
floor.
right, let's go ahead and get our advertising out
For,
there,
for which building?
this building.
This bill.
This building?
Yeah.
Is the Historical Society gonna help us with the roof any? Is that in the, is that in the?
We just got our, letter from them Friday that we did not get the grant.
I wasn't aware of that, I didn't know.
Now, they may have some money later on, but on what they call the trust fund, but, we don't know.
We're on our own.
I'll need specs for that, for the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I'll need specs for the roof, so I can put it in a bid package.
Yeah.
Make it where it don't leak. That's the spec.
Lovely.
Fix the leak, that's the spec.
And where's this money gonna come from? It's 200?
Me and you.
Well, we can either budget for it out of general fund and it be covered by the current revenues, or we can budget out of, our fund balance. Our fund balance is still the same, isn't it? Even though, we looked at it the other day, even though we made these
Yeah, fund balance.
expenditures, we're still,
Yeah, needs to be out of fund balance.
Yeah,
okay,
both of them. The DA's roof and this roof.
Yep,
okay,
if we can.
Yeah.
yeah. If we get ours back in time, we get it done by the end of, September, then we'll be good because we have money budgeted for it this time. But we need to go ahead and put it in fund balance. I put out of surplus right here. All right. Okay, so that won't affect what we're doing right here on our current budget.
It seems like we're pretty tight with this number. I mean, that's what we got to work with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, as far as changes, we did add in a new employee, it's in here. We added in, quite a different question though. When we're talking about, LGS, we have been paying Hill Country out of those special funds. We will continue to pay out of those special funds for the JPs, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
They just, Hill Country just billed us for a quarter, so.
Okay.
I'll-
But I mean, for,
Going
there will
forward.
be the additional like there is for the net data, because they didn't have net data, so
Right.
it'll just flow right on. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not in O and O. Okay.
Yes.
All right. We did add a little for capital litigation. That's in there. We already had some, but I think we added a little bit more. We have a little in yours. And then in 620, no, we don't have any in 620. That's capital outlay. Is it 670? You look. No, it's 542, I think.
I don't have a 542. 675, 42.
Page 20. You-
Yes, that's it exactly. 50,000 in indigent defense for capital outlay. That ought to cover it for this coming year, then. You know, we talked about the library, we haven't gotten anything from them yet, but we did put in the same amount, for,
All the fire departments got the same.
the fire people. On page 50, we have, for the fire department, we have the grant match of 20,000, which we normally have. Capital outlay, 50,000, and then other expense, 125.
125, that's pretty much fuel.
Fuel, showers, yeah.
Yeah. Repairs to the truck.
Yeah.
Da. Ambulance the same, gonna stay the same.
Yeah, that's what we're talking.
Ambulance.
That's what we have down,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
request.
getting a financial statement from those fire departments about what they spend their money on?
In order to get their money is required, yes.
When they get their money, yeah.
So,
Before we actually put it in the bills, they have to bring us their list of
does
expenses.
any of them ever not spend what we give them?
They always have a list of expenses of
Expenses.
more
But
than
it's, so it's more
what
than
we,
10,000?
yeah. Of course,
That's what this 650's for.
Mm-hmm.
700, 650.
Yeah.
Not just fuel, just repairs on the truck.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Backpack and all that good. Christmas party.
On care of prisoners, that was one thing we changed, I changed, because I typed in the amount wrong. In the original draft, I believe the original, let me see what it said. Yeah, on page 31, it said 30,000 for inmate housing, it should have been 300,000. So that was changed. Other than that, it was mainly just all these leases and agreements.
Have we heard anything from Limestone this year?
I
Or
haven't heard a word.
I haven't either.
Oh, just be quiet. No, I imagine they'll be sending us a new agreement, but, and also that contingency on page 42, 200,000. Those were the main things that changed. Wasn't very much. But again, this is just a draft, and we will all go through it. I know there are gonna be some changes, and as people look at theirs, individual ones, we still have things to talk about, of course. Y'all want to look through them page by page again, or just take them to review and then we'll come back and talk about them? I think if everybody will look at theirs, you will have some people that want to come in and talk about them a little bit. what we're thinking, sounds like what we're talking about is these major things, if we will budget them out of our surplus, then not have to raise taxes. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay. Can do that. Which, we were surprised when we looked at, you know, where we were cash-wise last year and this year, that seemed to be close to the same, so that could change any minute, of course, but I don't think so. And looking at what we had on that first draft and what we have now, you know, it's things like that 65,000 and these other things that have increased mainly.
Do we have anything this year that brought more money into the county than we have in years past? Any big things come in that you know of?
No,
Nothing?
nothing I'm aware of. I mean, you have your normal new improvements, that's always a line item, but nothing significant that I'm aware of.
Now look at that first page on taxes. Looks like delinquent. We collected more this year than we have in the years past, but we collected more than we budgeted for this year on delinquent. Looks like the auto may be down just a little from what we've done in years past, auto registration and titles.
It seems like there's more, like it's been extremely busy last week and this week. Every time I
Well,
go by there, it seems like there was
just
more cars in that
people.
parking lot than I ever seen
Yeah.
out here.
It was packed.
Unless it was just like
No, we've been
December or something.
busy.
Yeah.
Really, the last several years, we've had a big uptick in just people purchasing vehicles.
Weren't y'all closed some for a week or so, getting moved
Two
over?
days.
2
It
days.
felt like a week. We had a backlog of customers, but
So you
it was
think
2
the
days to the
auto
public.
sales tax is up?
It may be down this year as, say, 2 years after
Buying new
COVID,
cars, can't afford new ones.
That's right.
but just in volume, you know, a lot of people buying used cars, just people trading up or just trading.
Mhm.
We've seen a lot of that, you know, of course, I'm relying on the clerk's information on this, but really since I took office around COVID time, that's been an increase compared to years prior to that. We do have people moving in to this county steadily, and, you know, that's gotta help as far as that goes. You know, bringing vehicles here, getting registered first time in Texas.
People moving into the
I got a
county.
developer coming here.
You hear me?
Doing us a favor.
You hear me? People moving into the county, you know, it's,
Yeah, that's fine.
When will the appraisal office reappraise the Freestone development?
Well, it'll just depend on how that property sits January 1 of '25. I don't know that there was much change from this year, '24.
Main change is that we no exemption.
Ag removal.
Yeah, no big one.
You know, developers have a discount by state law, so they can sit on lots in a reduction from market value. But, yeah, that would be the first, but every year I imagine it should build as lots sell, as they get into private hands, they'll be taxed 100% market value, that as structures get built, but it'll.
you know, Morningstar out there on 489, they get an ag exemption. They They got egg on it until the lot sells.
And they haven't built anything vertical out there, have
I
they?
ain't seen a house on it. Not on that.
Todd Benedict, he drives through there.
Yeah,
The last time we were through there, Kathy, she had a long list out there. We go, I went with her just because I was curious.
Yeah.
and a nice road.
Wait a minute.
Is that not the one that they said they sold all
I
the
don't think
lots?
so.
Like
I don't
two
think
days?
there's any.
So I-
48 out of 51, get one day, I think.
It's a very unique property.
Yeah,
There's nothing else like that county the way it's structured.
underground fields and all that. City's still running cattle.
Most people got cattle up there, they're supposed to be.
Since we are going to stay at our same tax rate, we're a little above our no news tax rate, but we're not above,
Voter approval.
so we're okay on that.
Sure. Anything below voter approval, my law is on the
I
dog.
had to do it like 31,799, so it just, less fractions. 32.
All right, so our next meeting will be the 7th. Now, one thing we haven't talked about, that we don't have in here, because we didn't actually, I mean, we kind of talked about it, but there wasn't any agreement on it, is raising any raises. You had talked about raising everybody's to $15 an hour.
Yeah, the bottom end.
Bottom.
Because you had people applying for jobs, and then we found out what it started at, they weren't interested. So, I mean, that's 25, especially the 25,
I'm about to 31.
whatever it is.
So,
And if you go to 15, that's 31.2, you're right, Lloyd.
Yes.
so
Yeah.
raise everybody, every salary
We want to like
person.
3 of those positions.
You know, there's two 25s, there's 3 at 30, and then I just, there were some at 31,300, like 4, which is just tick over, 15. But there's basically 5 positions under $15.
So raise those salary people to that amount. Now, is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
31.2.
5 positions.
That's 12,000 to 3,600, that, I mean, not counting your retirement and
Yeah.
everything, that's 15,600.
That's when we talked about putting green to the purple and purple to the blue and black.
Oh, yeah, that was different, that was a little different scenario, but this, I mean,
Well, for right now, we're gonna raise these 5 positions, and then on the 7th, when we have our next meeting, we're gonna look at our salary grades. That really doesn't change our budget exactly, but anyway, okay, so we're gonna change those 5 positions.
7th will be a regular board, pay bill.
7th will be the regular board, unless we wanna have one before then to work on those things.
Thought you said we meet Friday.
Somebody told me that, but I don't really know all the time.
That'd be good if we wanted to meet
I
Friday.
didn't even get the agenda this time.
Hey, while Jenny's
Well, you
here,
probably did. That's because Karen was out sick and I didn't think to
when's
send
your
it.
last day, Jenny?
Friday.
Friday, okay. While she's here, we had discussed it. You hear a little spiel about the holidays, road and bridge, having taken hard time.
Right.
How do you put it out there?
Well, they lose 24 hours of vacation to take a holiday.
take 12 holidays.
Didn't we discuss this, Jeannie, and there was something,
Okay, I guess I'm not
Something to do
sure
with
what
labor
you're
law.
asking.
Labor,
yeah, something to do with the labor laws.
For taking a holiday, the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head, if that's what we're asking, is the policy manual right now says you can't take the holiday before the holiday. So, and then a holiday is considered an 8-hour per our policy. Is that what we're asking?
Yeah.
So what happens is our guys, Road and Bridge does not get the same amount of holidays as the county gets. I mean, they get the same amount, but not the same amount
They
of
get the
holidays.
same amount of hours.
Same night.
They have to use 2 hours vacation
Every holiday.
to,
Because you are on the 10-hour
If
shift.
they wanna take, they wanna take a day.
Yes, same as like law enforcement that are on 12-hour shift. Now, theirs works a little different because they were 1 a month, and so, just when they ran out of the 96 hours, when we had 12, then they were done, you know, but
so in your opinion, could we amend the policy?
yes, you could. Because vacation.
Wouldn't, I know that's what I mean, we're not-
Vacation, sick, and all that is a benefit that is not governed by the Fair Standard Labor Act. And so y'all can set that however you want, as long as
Fair
it's,
Standard Labor Act.
Fair standard.
as long as it's across the board, pretty equal for everybody. Like, you know, you can't give one department 10 holidays and the other department only 6. You know, so that'd be across the board, pretty fair for everybody, but it's not governed by the.
So do you want to change a holiday for 12 hours so that they get their full amount?
I mean, that's.
I know, I'm just talking.
Yeah, so that's up to y'all, whatever you,
We can change that.
if you wanna classify
I don't like them
that.
anyway, you already know that.
Do what?
I said, I don't like them anyway, you already know that.
Well,
We cut them back to 11.
She said,
Yeah, but we-
the word I was wanting to hear her say that I didn't know what it was called, was that Fair Standard Labor Act. That's what, I knew something was sticking in my mind,
Yes,
we
yes,
discussed this before, and I couldn't remember why we
Yes.
didn't take action on it.
So benefit time is set by y'all. Other than the only thing that falls under that law is the comp time. And it is governed by that act. And so, but the other is set by y'all. And like I said, the only rules that I know on that is that it has to be fair across the board. Like you can't give more to certain employees and other differences to other employees.
The other problem with that is when there's a holiday and our guys get called out on the weekends,
yeah.
then they only get time for time.
Yep, that's what happens to us if our guys work over.
Yeah, I mean,
Then
that's-
it takes
that's-
away the holiday, and that's how I end up with so much left over.
I mean, it's
You
just,
can address that.
So basically, our policy says that, and the law says on comp time, it has to be on actual hours worked.
Actual hours worked.
And so that means you physically come in and work. And so if you take benefit time during that, you cannot get paid.
But that is the law.
The comp-
We did-
that's the
not
law.
something
That's-
we
yes, that's the
determined.
law.
That's-
And then, how we were doing it a long time ago, after I first got here, was we were given that extra at straight time and not time and a half. And tax said we weren't violating the law, the county was just being generous doing that, and they changed the policy to say that you cannot get, benefit time for anything that's not worked. You can't get, that extra in there. I'd have to go read the word for the policy, but basically it meant that, you know, if you work over, and have that holiday in there,
Yeah.
you're just getting the same pay, because we don't get paid by the hour,
even if you work over the 40 hours, even with the holiday, you work 50 hours or whatever, you still can't get, but just that time is time.
You get it on actual time work.
That time is time.
But if you have 50 hours on the books, and you had, one of those is a holiday, you only actually worked 42 hours. Is what she's saying, so 2 hours would be overtime.
That's right.
if you actually
Comp time.
worked those, yeah.
Comp time,
And the
Two would be
benefit time would stay in your bank.
Would be 3 hours.
It's
So we wouldn't charge you that benefit time. So if you had 8 vacation hours, you worked, you worked 50, like she said, then you would only get paid comp time for 2, because
Yeah.
that's the 2.
You're sacrificing
And
the
your
first 8.
vacation would stay in your comp
Yeah.
bank
Yeah.
used at a later date. But I do believe our policy says you do not get compensated for that. So if y'all wanted to make them go ahead and take that time, they wouldn't get paid compensation for that.
And you
So-
also, if you don't use all your holiday time at the end of the year, then you lose.
That's, yes,
And you
That's
have to
not
take
really-
comp time before you can take holiday.
Yes.
yes, that's your policy, yes.
That's a problem too.
have to take comp time before you take a vacation,
Yeah.
Vacation.
not the holiday.
Not holiday.
Not the holiday, oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Some of these, policies came to being because we had some people that were really, taking advantage and,
Imagine that.
tried to address those things.
And something else y'all may think about, we've talked about it before and it didn't really go over very well, but PTO time, if you wanted to look into PTO time, personal time off versus your sick, your vacation, and some of the benefits of that would be they wouldn't have to provide you a doctor's note, so you wouldn't have to worry about HIPAA violations. I think your sick leave pool would go away at that point, you wouldn't have it, and so, that's just something if y'all chose to talk about, y'all could.
And the reason they use that in the corporate world, most companies use PTO. What would be the downside to that for the county?
You would have to look at right now, this is just my opinion, when we've looked at it before, but right now, y'all, an employee, especially with y'all just moving it up to 8 hours every month, the amount of sick time that you get, we don't pay that out when you leave. So if someone doesn't abuse their sick time and they have a lot of sick time on the books and they leave, there's no compensation for that. If you had PTO time, you would have to look at, okay, how much time are we gonna give them? And then you'd have to
We'd
decide if you were gonna pay that
Put
out.
a cap on what could be paid out.
Yes,
If
and whether you're
somebody
gonna,
quit and they had a bunch
now
of
you
built
wouldn't
up.
have to pay that out if they left, if you so choose not to, but you just have to look at that and decide what y'all wanna do.
Also, for personal time off, you don't have to give an advance notice that you're gonna take it. You can just call your supervisor that morning and say, I'm gonna take my personal time
I
off.
believe that you can set that policy
I
on
think
that.
so, you can make that.
I believe you can make that policy. Now, same with our sick, you know.
It's their personal time off though. It's their personal time
I
off.
think you still have to request.
So is
I think you
vacation,
can,
Doesn't mean you don't schedule to take it.
unless you're
I'd have to
sick,
look into that, but I think you could set that policy, and if you wanted them to have to
What
give
else?
advance notice, you could.
Not a very good employer if he didn't let you know he's gonna take off
You
before
know, in a
that moment.
situation where they're actually sick, is same as now, our policy says even on sick, if you know in advance that, you know,
you
you've
should.
got a doctor's appointment or whatever, you're supposed to give advance notice.
Do that, put them on that shuttle when I get back.
So basically you have holiday, vacation, and sick going into the PTO time, and then you have comp separate.
Yeah, your comp always has to stay separate, you can't add
Would
your
you
comp
have
in.
holiday? Because
That would be up to
closed
the
on
commissioner's court at that time, whether you wanted to count that in and not set specific holidays or not, that would be up to y'all. If
It
you
could be a
didn't, you
nightmare, because people
On
not having a
holidays.
set holiday to be off, and they're going, this person's got travel plans for this and that, it could disrupt the whole office.
You can
They
keep
can
your
set
holidays
days or-
separate, just like you
or
have
for a
now.
reason.
Some of them,
Doesn't
some
have
of them
to.
are. I guess you could set, we could set less holidays.
You could.
Less holidays, we could do just the main holidays we know are gonna be closed, and then would the rest of us keep the offices open just since we didn't show it was gonna be a holiday, nobody else worked? Think about it. We don't have to make that decision right now.
We were gonna add, one more, we already talked about that.
Which
Oh,
one?
y'all, y'all add one more?
We already set the
We
holidays.
did, well, you
We
gotta.
need to undo them, because we didn't set Juneteenth.
Yeah,
It's
what
a
we do
national
at
holiday.
Peach- what we do at Peach-
Well, there's a lot of national holidays
It
that we
is.
don't take. I believe there are. Let's talk about that at the next meeting. National holidays.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Do we want to have a meeting on Friday to finish all these things up? I don't know that we have that many more things, other than we need to set the tax rate. We need to,
Wouldn't all they gotta be in the paper, do it?
it does need to be in the paper. So if we did that on Friday, we could get it in the next week's paper, which would be good.
Turn it on.
If we're gonna leave the tax rate the same, is that what we're doing? Is that what we're proposed so far?
Set it now, make it work.
Yeah.
All right,
We
set
can,
it.
we can make it.
We set it down, make it work.
Yeah.
What's it worth per point?
Huh?
What's the value per point?
Each penny's $100,000.
Each penny? No, each penny's like 300,000,
250, I think.
350, something like that.
Yeah,
Have it written down somewhere?
200,000,
Yeah.
250.
That's true.
If I remember right.
What would you say that calculated rate was, 3177?
3179965 is the no new.
317, we're 3219.
We're at 3719 right now.
3219.
3219. Yeah, 3219.
Yeah.
What's the rate?
3219.
What'd you say?
I got 3179965 is effective. But I mean, the no new revenue, the no new.
Okay.
What's the next one called?
Voter approval. Voter approval rate. Voter approval is the one, and what that, if you exceed your voter approval, then it goes to an automatic election, the
Okay,
voters
and
get
what is
to.
that?
I don't
You
think,
have it.
3.5.
3.5% over the
321.
no new, right?
Well,
Whatever that
there's-
state says, the state.
that's one of the components, one of the main components, but there's a lot of other calculations involved in that. Do y'all have a copy of my tax rate calculation sheet?
I don't have it in there.
Yeah.
You have it in there? I do have it.
That back page has the, no new revenue rate, the voter approval rate.
That's not it.
That's not it. That's all I've
Let me
got.
go get it.
Oh, you're talking about,
I got it laying right
What
there.
you gave us last time?
Yeah, but that ain't it, no.
That ain't it? That's all I got.
That's all I got.
I'd like for y'all to look at that, because there's a lot that goes into those rates.
okay. I just knew there was something, I didn't know what it was.
You chunking everything else?
No, I'm gonna keep it, hell, I'll put it there, stand. Give me something to read.
We can chunk it out. We can chunk the one.
You think we put one on?
We can throw one
Throw
away.
one away.
So you gonna keep it out too and throw one away, Will?
Yeah. Kill a few more trees. Oh.
God, it's about like,
So I'll catch you
it's expensive.
How about this computer world? Paperless.
My say
Takes more papers down, takes more papers down than it did before.
Yep.
I will
Sure
figure it.
does.
Let us know.
And it's still expensive.
What we got, and that way if we need to go get
Oh.
something, we get it.
This rate that's 321.
It's point. Oh, 39035.
Every executive session there.
Take that
Point
50,945.
3,
That's what those two
9035.
columns are.
03.
And I'm gonna, add those in there.
Yeah,
That and see, subtract from 350.
you subtract.
But if we're gonna not change the rate,
Well,
let's
I
just
mean,
get
we got to
it
figure
done,
salaries.
right there.
I gotta
Get
figure
it over
salaries.
with. We can budget, let's
I
make it
gotta
work.
figure the salaries.
Bring
for
back the money work.
period.
Just, we can do it on the
We
budget,
got more
too.
pay periods left.
Yeah. Well, it's got 125,000.
Oh, that's right.
That's what, I'm 125,000 difference.
125, 842, whatever, I got, but
Okay.
That's be 22.
I think those raises, that's gonna be about 24.5, that gives us 100 to play.
Oh, the jail hired.
I figure those
I
raises
can
we're
look
talking
at
about, bringing them
what
to
the
$15
jail
now.
Right.
I mean, it was,
Coming out, but
six-
and figure
it
it out,
was,
you haven't hired the deputy.
15.6, so figure that out, I mean, by the time we get into this stuff.
Yeah, this is 23 to 26.
Yeah, I mean, I just figured I'd give us
You
a
got
rough
one
number.
of the regular budget to fill
We
service.
got,
We got 100 to play with,
That's about 100.
so we make it work.
pretty tight, just pretty tight.
Yeah.
It's all right, sorry.
Well, go ahead and I'll make a copy for everybody of these. So there's
Do we, you have,
Hmm?
do Do you have copies?
I'll make copies real quick. Let's take a 5-minute break.
We make